Hello guys, welcome to the JavaScript tutorial and today we'll discuss about garbage collection and finalization registry. What is garbage collection? So before discussing about garbage collection, I want to discuss about the memory management in JavaScript. So memory of machine define bunch of boxes. Each and every boxes just define 32 or 64 bits. Whenever we assign a variable with x with some value, then JavaScript engine run this to a encoder to get the binary representation of that value. Then he will put that binary representation into the box. Whenever we want to get back that value, then JavaScript engine again put that binary value into the decoder to get the actual value. So this is how the memory management works. So the JavaScript engine will keep track of this variable and it will check it is still accessible from anywhere in the program or not. If the variable is no longer to be reached, then the memory is going to be reclaimed so that JavaScript engine can put new variable. And this process is called garbage collection. So now we'll discuss about how the JavaScript engine will collect the garbage. That means how many strategies are there. We'll discuss about the two strategies. One is like reference counting. Reference counting means whenever the object has a reference, it will count the reference. The object is used in somewhere. But if the object has no reference, that means the object is no longer needed. That means the JavaScript engine can automatically collect it for the garbage. If I create an object and if I'm using this object or assigning this object to anywhere like a equals to this object, so that means like whatever the reference is there, so the reference is there for object is 0 here. But when I assign to a, that means it has to increase to 1. And if I declare inside a function with this object and this a, that means the reference of the object is 0 here, then it has increased by 1 when I assign to a. But outside of the function, the reference of this object is 0. Whenever I'll do a call, after the completion of this call, the reference of the a is 0. It is no longer needed. That means the JavaScript will remove the object reference from the memory. But in here, we have some clause. So there is an exceptional for the reference counting mechanism. जहाँ पे क्या होता है, जहाँ पे मान लो कोई रेफरेंस हम लोग काउंट कर रहे हैं फॉर ए साइक्लिक प्रोसेस, तो काउंट करते रहेगा एंड it will be not removed from the memory. So in that case, there is another algorithm to save us. So that is marks and sweeps algorithm. So what is mark and sweeps? The garbage collector traverses the object graph and starting from the root objects and mark all the reachable objects as in use. And the garbage collector sweeps all the unmarked objects from the memory. So this mechanism is called marks and sweeps algorithm. हम लोग थोड़ा ग्राफ के थ्रू देख सकते हैं. जैसे मान लो a ऑब्जेक्ट हो गया, like let object equals to this, then let object 1 equals to object. That means ऐसे ऐसे करके आएगा, जैसे object, then object 1, इसका भी कोई रेफरेंस में रहेगा तो object 2 का कोई रेफरेंस नहीं है, ठीक है, इसका कोई रेफरेंस यूज नहीं हो रहा है. So if I'm using the object reference in object 1, that means I'll use just mark. If the reference of the object 1 is used in the object 2, then I'll just mark it. If the reference of object 2 is not used, then I'll say okay, it's not used, not used, or like unmarked. Now the reference of the object 3, if it is also not used, then I can say okay, not used or unmarked. So now the garbage collector, it will just check like whatever the reference are marked or not. If it's marked, then it will keep. all those object reference in the memory, and like whatever is not used or unmarked, it will just sweeps all the object reference from the memory. That's how the JavaScript engine reclaim the memory. So now we'll discuss about finalization registry. इसमें क्या होता है? So it allow us to detect when an object is garbage collected or not. This finalization registry, this object request a callback when a value is garbage collected. So we'll see with some examples, then we can understand how it works. So now I'll just write an example for the finalization registry, how it works. Let reg equals to new finalization registry. It will accept a callback. In the callback function, like whenever it will find or like detect any object like is a garbage collected, then it will call this callback. Message console.log logged, then message. Now what I'll do, I'll just write a function here, function get my name, let x equals to an object, then I just do the registry dot register. Then the register will accept three parameters. One is target, second is field value, third is token value. I'm giving here x and I'm saying x is collected. Okay, x is collected means like I'm not using x in anywhere, right? That's why I'm saying okay, the x is collected, and I'll just call this get my name method here. So I'll just link this file, the HTML file. So I just created one garbage collection HTML file here. I just connected with the garbage collector.js. Now we can see with the HTML stuffs of the live server. We'll go to the console. See? So it is showing logged X is collected. With the example of finalization registry, we can understand like where we can detect the garbage and where we could not detect, right? In here you can see the X and Y has been used, but whenever I'll just call this method get my name, after execution of this method, there is no reference of this X and Y outside of this method. So that's why like whenever I'm saying okay X is collected, that means I'm just not using X outside of this get my name. Now just check, let name equals to something like this. Now I'm using name equals to X or name one something. So name one equals to X. Okay. Let's see now that the X will be collected or not, because X is assigning to name one. So the name one have the reference of X now, right? See, now we can see there is no output from the console. That means we can collect X right now because the reference has been used. If I don't use like this, then I can see the message X is collected. So in that way, we can understand how the garbage collection works in JavaScript. So we'll take another example of promise. What happens to promise that not been resolved or rejected? Do they keep floating in the memory or not? We have to understand, okay, if the promise is not giving any result, like it is in pending state, that means it will take the memory or not. Let's see with some examples. So I'm just creating function get my promise. Here just I'll return a promise, new object, then promise, then here I'll use one executed, resolve, or reject. And if I call this promise here, like create promise, then dot get my promise, then dot then I just like console dot log. Here I'm using X. I'm just returning nothing from this promise, and I'm using the X reference inside the promise. Will the X will be removed from the memory or not? Let's see. So two things has been logged. One is X after promise is collected, and one is X before is collected. Okay. If I'll return something from here, like resolve 10, let's see what I see. See, now you can see there is no logs for the garbage collection. That means whenever the promise is resolved or rejected, the memory has been used for the X reference. That's why this is not been collected. Thank you guys for watching the video. Please subscribe. We'll meet you in the next session.